Am I audible? You happy? Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues, and thank you for staying and sticking with us till this far on the occasion of the ANC, NEC, led by the President, having convened what we refer to as the roll call of all ANC councillors in the country. The session has just ended, as you are well aware, and this afternoon the ANC is going to communicate the plan of action and the marching orders as previously communicated by the leadership of our organization, of our movement. But before I call on the Secretary General to step up to the front to read our statement, I'd like to introduce what is a sizable panel this afternoon. In no particular order, I will start with comrades who are deployed ministers and deputy ministers that are involved in one of our subcommittees, what we refer to as the local government intervention. These comrades are responsible for thrashing out details that are required for a convention of this magnitude that is just concluded, and for continuing to shine a spotlight on the work of local government, headed by Comrade Stella Ndabeni, who is the convener. There are other members of that particular team of the ANC, Comrade Dr. Dixon Masemula, to your left, that you've had a chance to interact with since this morning, as well as in the past 2 days at the Special National Executive Committee. To my far left, Comrade Josienso Ramukhupa, also a member of the same team, who is deployed cadre as Minister of Electricity. And next to Comrade Sputla, Comrade Pemima Jodina, deployed as Minister of Water and Sanitation. All of these comrades are part of the same team and will be responsible in supporting the Secretary General this afternoon. We're also joined by our metropolitan municipality mayors. And again, in no particular order, I'm just going to look at those that are here. Comrade Princess Faku from APCM, Buffalo City Metropolitan Municipality, and Ukbabalwa Lobishe, the comrade, I'm trying to read, Nelson Mandela, and next to Babalwa, Comrade Dada Morero, Mayor of the city of Johannesburg. Next to Comrade Dada, Comrade Dr. Kagaza, Mayor of the city of Ekurhuleni. And next to Dr. Comrade Bonzo Mudise, who is the Deputy Mayor deployed in the city of Tshwane. Next to Comrade Bonzo, Comrade Nditini Kido, who represents the ANC in its capacity as the opposition in the Cape Metro. And next to Comrade Nditini, Comrade Gregory Ntadisi, who is the mayor, ANC mayor in Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. Those are the team members that are also seized with these matters by virtue of their deployment by the African National Congress to be the mayors in those metropolitan municipalities. I will then at this stage, and we will get the colleagues to participate, obviously guided by your questions and following on the cue from the Secretary General. At this stage, I'd like to call on the SG to deliver the statement of the ANC. Thank you very much. Over to you, SG.
From Orlando Pirates' perspective, I have not said anything. I haven't said anything. Thank you very much, Mahlengi, our spokesperson, and colleagues and comrades from different spheres of governance in our country. And ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you very much for covering our story, which began on Saturday, and we end today. We give feedback today about this engagement, focusing on local government through the special NEC meeting that took place over the weekend. The African National Congress convened a special National Executive Committee meeting on the 13th to 14th of September 2025, followed by a historic roll call meeting of ANC councillors today, the 15th of September 2025. These engagements were not ordinary administrative gatherings. They represented a solemn reaffirmation of the ANC's covenant with the people of South Africa. At the center of both meetings was a renewed commitment to ensure that the lives of our people are better, that they live in communities which are clean, safe and vibrant, and that every household has access to quality basic services. The roll call meeting was a powerful demonstration of accountability in action. The ANC councillors were required to stand before the movement and account for their work in their respective communities as part of our monthly community meetings in each ward across the country. This process is not symbolic, but a serious reflection of the ANC's intent to restore integrity, discipline, and focus to its public representatives. It reminded every councillor that the mandate of the ANC flows directly from the people, and that the highest measure of success is the daily improvement in the quality of life of those they serve. This recommitment is not new. It finds its roots in the pledge that the ANC councillors first undertook in Ekurhuleni 2021, a pledge that has since become a guiding light for all councillors across the country. The Ekurhuleni pledge was not merely a ceremonial oath. It was a moral and political covenant with our people. It called for honesty, accountability, transparency, and dedication. It insisted that ANC employees must be competent, action-oriented, and focused on service delivery. Through that pledge, the ANC committed itself to delivering services promptly and consistently, to rebuilding safer and healthier communities, and to stimulate local economies so that people's livelihoods can be sustained. The pledge also underlined the importance of listening to the people, of keeping channels of communications open, and ensure that leaders remain present and accessible. Equally, it made clear that partnerships with traditional leaders, religious, civic, and community organizations, NGOs, and the private sector are essential for addressing the challenges facing our communities. Above all, the pledge confirmed the ANC's uncompromising stance against corruption, nepotism, and all forms of malfeasance, and its resolve to ensure that resources are used only for their rightful purpose to serve the people. To this end, there has been heightened investigations against all forms of corruption, as evidenced by the President's signing of SIU proclamations, a record higher than any other time in our history. The Ekurhuleni Pledge continues to serve as a directive and moral compass for ANC councillors. It is now expanded into a comprehensive plan of action, which was adopted by the National Executive Committee. It was shaped by the NEC and aligned with the urgent need for accelerated service delivery. The ANC has acknowledged some failures and progress that has been made through government and ANC-led interventions. The number of stable municipalities has increased. Targeted measures to address municipal debt with Eskom and water boards have yielded results in restoring financial viability in certain areas. Presidential working groups in eThekwini and Johannesburg have provided valuable governance support. The rollout of the district development model has brought more integrated planning and service delivery closer to communities. Important strides have been made in electrification, in extending access to clean water, in sanitation projects, and in the issuing of housing title deeds. The establishment of service delivery monitoring mechanisms, including war rooms, has created structures through which communities can hold leaders accountable and through which problems can be escalated and resolved. These achievements provide a foundation upon which the ANC can now build. Recognizing both the achievements and the challenges that remain, the National Executive Committee adopted an accelerated service delivery action plan, referred to as the War Plan. This plan is designed to deliver visible improvements within 3, 6, and 12 months, with the clear intention of restoring confidence in local government. It places service delivery, community engagement, and infrastructure development at the heart of the ANC's renewal agenda. The plan is anchored on 5 interconnected pillars. The first pillar is the fulfillment of core service delivery commitments, including the provision of clean water, proper sanitation, regular refuse removal, reliable electricity supply, improved road maintenance, housing delivery, and the issuing of title deeds. The second pillar focuses on building effective and sustainable infrastructure through increased investments in maintenance, expansion of water and energy storage capacity, prevention of vandalism, and the development of critical technical skills. The third pillar is about creating capable and stable local government institutions. This requires strengthening governance, stabilizing administrations, modernizing billing and debt recovery systems, attracting skilled professionals, and dealing decisively with corruption. The fourth pillar emphasizes the need to reconnect with people and restore trust. This involves citizen-facing war rooms, public hotlines, community campaigns, door-to-door visits, and regular public meetings. It is complemented by initiatives such as the ANC Day of Community Service and closer collaboration with community-based formations and traditional leaders. The fifth pillar addresses inclusive local economic development, job creation, and industrialization. It calls for increased support for township and village enterprises, SMMEs, and informal traders, alongside a focus on job creation for young people and women. The roll call meeting concluded with clear, detailed and uncompromising marching orders for all ANC councillors. Every councillor was instructed that service delivery is not an abstract policy, but the daily lived reality of communities, and therefore must be the first and foremost priority. Councillors are expected to spend less time in offices and more time among the people. They are directed to hold regular ward-based public meetings and to account directly to communities for their actions and decisions. They must be accessible, responsive, and constantly visible in the areas they represent. The NEC directed councillors to ensure that by the end of the next 100 days, visible progress must be registered in core service delivery areas. Potholes must be repaired. Refuse must be collected on schedule. Water leaks must be fixed without delay. And street lights must be functional. Where housing projects have stalled, councillors must engage with communities and government departments to remove blockages and ensure progress. No ward should be left without clear signs that the war plan is being implemented. Councillors were further instructed to lead by example in restoring discipline, humility and integrity in public life. They must not only reject corruption and nepotism, but actively expose and report it whenever it occurs, even within ANC structures. They must demonstrate servant leadership, placing the people's needs above personal interest. They are to ensure that municipal resources are managed prudently and directed to projects that improve the quality of life of ordinary residents. The NEC also reminded councillors that they are not just local representatives, but political leaders charged with building trust between communities and the African National Congress. They were instructed to reconnect with residents through door-to-door visits, problem-solving campaigns and listening programs. Councillors must rebuild community confidence by showing that the ANC is not distant, but present and responsive. This requires constant communication, open feedback channels, and a willingness to confront difficult issues honestly. Councillors were told that they must champion local economic development initiatives supporting small businesses, cooperatives, township and village enterprises, and ensuring that women and youth are prioritized in opportunities for employment and development. They were directed to work closely with civil society, faith-based organizations and traditional leaders to create inclusive partnerships for development. They were equally directed to work and collaborate in partnership with the private sector and business in our communities. Finally, councillors were reminded that accountability is not negotiable. They must report monthly to ANC structures, participate actively in war rooms, and subject themselves to performance reviews. Those who fail to meet the standards of delivery, discipline, and service set by the ANC will be removed, for the movement cannot afford to carry leaders who fail the people. The ANC, to this extent, have launched the Barometer Monitoring and Evaluation digital platform for all our councillors. The ANC calls upon all South Africans, including labour, business, faith-based institutions, community organizations and traditional authorities to join hands in this collective effort. The challenges before us are great, but together they can be overcome. The plan is not simply a party document, it is a national call to action. It is about building municipalities that are accountable. The ANC, through this pledge, showed the way. The NEC has now expanded this into a national program of renewal and service. Through unity, discipline, accountability, and collective effort, the ANC believes we can overcome the difficulties that confront us and deliver on the promise of a better life for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. The statement has been read out. We will also, just as I ask for any hands to come up, we will share the documents that were presented today by the Secretary General and the President. Those are being, soft copies are being packaged for members of the media. That is just by way of that message that you had all inquired about. I am looking for hands. I'm taking hands. Okay, there's both the left and right. I'll start on the left. There's Business Day and ENCA, and then I'll go and proceed in that particular order. Tando.
Thank you so much. My name is Tando Mayabo, and I'm from the Business Day. Just in the room, out of 4,600 councillors, how many of those councillors are members of the SACP as well? And has the ANC resolved how it will work around that issue of its councillors who are also SACP members who are in the 2026 local government elections? And then does the ANC also have an idea of what impact that the SACP withdrawal will have on the 2026 local government elections? As in, how much voter share is the ANC, will the ANC lose as the SACP has pulled out basically of the alliance?
All right, thank you. We've got those two questions. Muldo?
Thank you. Moloko Molota here from ANC. I have a couple of questions, but I will be very quick. Some of the issues that you raised in this meeting, this publicly, the issue of potholes, street lights, they seem to be basic issues. It doesn't sound like global warming matters. Why do you think, and I would believe that it was for the first time you spoke about those matters, not only at the National Executive Committee level, why do you think they continue to persist? And when the President says perhaps you need to learn from municipalities that are governed by the Democratic Alliance, how are you going to undertake that benchmarking mission? Are you going to be consulting perhaps with the leaders of the GA, or just be more like a desktop approach? And last, during the special ANC meeting, I heard the President say, now I want to quote him, but it says, a culture of performance, accountability, transparency and institutional integrity is not even brain in the metros. Simplify it for us, particularly in metros that you are governing. What exactly did he mean here? That some of the leaders that you are governing in metros where you are governing are not, and I'm just saying them out because they are the basis of those councils. Last two questions. I remember now the President saying, going to all people who have qualifications, not necessarily loyal to the party. That's perhaps the new position going forward to say, memory serves me well. I think the mayors had to have a proposed matching qualification. That's going to apply across the council. Lastly, have you, as the ANC, perhaps done a study, internal study, perhaps giving you And I want to view of how you are likely to perform in the upcoming municipal elections. Thanks.
Thank you very much, ESCA. I will proceed, come down here and proceed all the way to newsroom, Africa, but I will start here and then we go in that order.
SG, this is not the first service delivery intervention plan from the ANC. We've had many from the past. My question
is, how is this different from the ones that we've had, and what work is it going to be done? The press
spoke a lot about accountability.
there. Are we going to be seeing councillors that are
Mayors
mayors that are not being
Forming.
being removed? And for on the water side,
There's
there's a lot of diagnoses that are being made around the water
city and what needs.
what needs to be done.
There's also been
Intervention plans.
Can you just give us an update, particularly around Gauteng, and water, and KZN? And thank you.
Thank you very much, SABC.
Thank you so much. It's Natasha Pugh here from SABC News. I just have a couple of questions. I think first and foremost to Dr. Khosienzo Ramokgopa. I think you've seen how people have reacted to the news of the higher electricity tariffs being on the card. Perhaps as your ministry, is there anything you're going to do to probably mitigate the issue? People are already complaining that there's a high cost of living. They can't afford higher electricity tariffs. And then just on Mirafong, it's a pity that Mr. Lusufi and Nozubo Best are not in the room. But the issue of the sinkholes in Mirafong is quite a critical issue. Earlier on this year, we went to go visit Relebohile High School, which is one of the worst performing schools in Gauteng because of that issue. And now it turns out that people have sinkholes in their backyards. I'm not aware if you are aware of an interview Mr. Lusufi had with the SABC about a week ago, where he had said that he had asked for the intervention of National Cocta, Mr. Masemola, in the area to actually declare the area as a national disaster, but National Cocta has refused. Perhaps if you can just weigh in on that issue. Have you also spoken to Mr. Lusufi and Ms. Best? And then on the local government barometer, Mr. Mbalula, there's a similar mechanism that Gauteng Cocta is actually, used. I just want to know, in terms of the barometer, so what happens? Will members of the public communities rate their mayors or the municipalities, the worst performing, the best performing? And what happens in that case? Thank you. How is it going to work? The barometer, the ANC barometer. Yes. Will they vote or rate? Yes.
My name is Yamtana Kapa from News 24. With regard to the barometer, Mr. Mbalula, I think it's been in the pipeline for a while. Why has it taken so long for it to actually come into fruition and be launched today? With regards to the interventions that you've outlined, the President has also said that anyone who is not behaving basically in caucuses, you will remove them. But I think a lot of us here are aware of, for example, in Northwest, there is a municipality where Izinkabi have taken control of the municipality. They're holding on to the keys, and it's because the Speaker and the Mayor were fighting. Why don't you intervene earlier? I'm trying to ask you, are these interventions not a bit delayed or reactionary? Thank you.
Thank you, Kasi.
Good afternoon, Shannon Merrick's Kasi, BC Africa. 3 small and yana questions. My first one for Mr. Fixit. You know, there's a song by Brenda Fassie, My Black President. And you know what I've seen this weekend is in that song is what Brenda Fassie envisaged, where leaders in the ANC, because that song was done for the ANC, take responsibility, take the country into confidence and do what we were doing this weekend. But what took you so long to actually do what that song of Brenda Fassie say, My Black President, the hope she had, in the ANC delivering some of these things. The second question, Brenda Fassie has another song, and this is for a female on the panel. She has another song, she called it Too Late for Mama, where a female died, going to look for water, where a female died with a child on her back. So I'm asking on the panel, the female, to deal with the issues where women struggle to get water, where women struggle to give birth to children in hospitals without medicine, the plight of women, how are you going to deal with that? Last but not least, we have industrial parks in Soweto, you have Orlando Industrial Park, Pennyville, you have Dobsonville, you have so many. But those parks don't have electricity. Those parks are struggling with reliable electricity and so on, and they can create jobs. So what is the minister going to do in terms of electricity to make sure those parks can create jobs and have reliable electricity? My last song I'll leave for later. Thank you.
Thank you. Inside.
Thanks, Somlomo. SG, as the councillors, they've been addressed today. So, to the masses, what will you say to them, those that they're saying, ANC has been talking, they are tired of listening to the ANC talking, they want action. Minister of Water, abantu banxaniwe. So, how are you going to assist the municipalities, the councillors, dealing with the issue of water in terms of some of the infrastructure is aging, and the other thing, intervene is they are busy dealing with the infrastructure, they are affecting people that they must not have a proper running water, and they want to just put their water tankers to make business. How can you please talk to that? That is put Mabon. Leaderships. So, what will you say as well to the infrastructure that is aging, and again, when it comes to those municipality deal with that? Because now lately we've been seeing that there are burning tires in the roads, the rocks and all that. It's been happening in part of the corners of the country. Veskap, how are you going to engage, as the president did here, that he was giving the credit to the opposition? So I think it is something that you have, that you can able to talk to your colleagues to assist them to be par with the. Are you going to do that and assist your colleagues? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Newsroom Africa.
Thank you very much. Conita Hancha from Newsroom Africa. On a very technical question, if you could just detail the report back. You say there's 3, 6 months, 12-month report back. What does it look like? Is it going to be a unit at Lutuli House that deals with it? Where is there an email address that councillors themselves have to send stuff to? If you could just tell us what mechanism has been set up in place, because there was in 2021 there was an indication that councillors will be held to account regularly, but that obviously hasn't happened. So what actually does the mechanism look like? The second question that I have is, what happens to the existing reports of the Auditor General that implicate real people that are here today, right? So, for example, they talked about the Northwest, which the President was in. There's a failure by the cooperative governance MEC there of actually intervening in those municipalities, Tsibotla, whatever you can name them. So where does who decides where does accountability start, and who is the person that actually sort of uses the guillotine? Is it the SG? Is it the President? Who is the person that does it? And how does that look like? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I suppose, I am going to stretch this. We're mindful of the fact that comrades are noting, especially matters that are specific to your area of deployment, other than the ones that will be tackled by the Secretary General. So I'm going to take a chance and take 3 more other hands. I think those are the last ones in this very long segment. I've got Gauhelo, I've got my brother over there, and I'm trying to look for any other person. That's all. Yeah, that's all. Please continue.
Having reclaimed the metros of Johannesburg, Tshwane, Kuruleni, just how much is the ANC looking at that as part of its inspiration in this turnaround effort? When you talk to your councillors to say, have you achieved enough ever since reclaiming those to say you can show people to say this is what we want you to do in turning around your own municipalities elsewhere in the country? And regarding this vow to take on the water mafia, I think we know there's mafias across industries. What is it that ANC deployees are being instructed to do particularly? Because this has been happening for a long time. I just read here that people were appearing in court for stealing cables here in Johannesburg, but there'll be another story the following week. Surely the normal processes don't seem to be working. It requires something extraordinary. So what is the ANC going to be doing about this?
Thank you. Last but not least.
Good afternoon. My name is Kamalo Michera from IOL. I've attended the special meeting, the NEC meeting this weekend, and the word was just about corruption and discipline within the members. And then it's not the first time you, as the ANC, have set up meetings to deal with corruption. Even today, it was just about corruption and all that. But then some of your members are involved in corruption and all that. Like, I want to add to what Kanita said. What is the ANC going to do about this? Because it's not the first time you have complained about the issues of corruption, and the SG has also emphasized that people who are involved in corruption, he will deal with them. But then there seems there's nothing that is leading to that. So I want to find out what the ANC is doing about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Corporate SG, would you prefer that I start with all these other questions that have to do with water, though security, energy security, the role of COGTA in supporting municipalities, for example, in the case of Singhos, Comrade Dixon. There was a question addressed to Western Cape. I will leave that to you, Comrade Ditini. Then there were matters that had to do with water that pertains municipalities as well. So somewhere between Comrade Bonzo and Comrade Penny, comrades can take a decision, and then I will continue to manage it in that way. Comrade SG, I don't know whether we should ask one of the Gauteng metropolitan mayors to reflect on some of the elements of what is emerging in our municipalities and the kinds of turnaround that were highlighted by the president, including what's happening in eThekwini, Ekurhuleni, as well as Johannesburg, because a number of questions also are landing on that. But again, in no particular order, I'll just start this way. I'll come to you, Mafawu. Let me start with Comrade Dixon on matters that have to do with COGTA and other matters in the plan. That you may wish to speak to, that have to do with the work of the team that has been working on these documents.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlengi, for this opportunity to make a few comments in responding to the questions posed by members of the media. I think, firstly, with regard to the matter of Mayor Rafung,
that COGTA is not cooperating with the provincial government in Gauteng to attend to that situation. I take it that it's a very important, information brought to our attention at this point in time. But as far as I know, I've never interacted in my formal work in the department to the extent that it could be regarded that COGTA has completely refused to cooperate with the provincial government in Gauteng on such a very serious matter that affects the lives of our people in that part of the province. COGTA remains a department responsible for disaster management on behalf of the entire country, from a policy point of view, legislation, but also in terms of operations, because the National Disaster Management Center is one of the organs of state that are well located within the COGTA department. I can only safe to say for now that we will follow up on this matter with the leadership of Gauteng province and the Premier's office in particular, together with the MEC, who is responsible for this functional area of work in the systems of government. And we should be able to provide update reports to members of the media, but most importantly, to the people of Merafong who are affected by this situation. That is the first point on how I will respond to the ease of the sinkholes in Merafong. That is the first one. The second point relates to the findings of the Auditor General and the extent to which the ANC, through its systems and government, whether it is responding accordingly in processing such matters, not just to the satisfaction of communities, but to basically ensure good governance, ethical leadership, and above them all, provision of the much-needed leadership that is based on values, that understands the ladder of values as a very important aspect of leadership in the national equation. The President, His Excellency, has over a reasonable period of time, and in fact to date, from the records that we have in the department as we're interacting with a number of source documents, it came to our attention from SIU that about 75 of our municipalities, in one way or the other, have had some form of relationship, not just a good relationship, but the relationship of investigations by the SIU, following up on matters that relates to malfeasance, malversation, and of course, to a large extent, as understood to be issues of corruption. Some reports have been concluded, some are still underway, and therefore that administrative decision by His Excellency is a clear demonstration of the resolve by the ANC to deal with matters of corruption to the extent that we should be able to hold and ensure consequence management. Recently, as we took a decision to intervene in the Northwest government, particularly in the municipalities, and in this case, the Tsobotla in particular, it came to our attention that, as the President said earlier on during the day, that we are going to be very steadfast in confronting mafias or organized syndicates that are basically creating problems in many parts of the country, to the extent that they actually impact as well negatively on the massive rollout of infrastructure and denying our people basic services and infrastructure for social and economic use that they so much deserve. The Tsobotla is going to be a classical example of how we're going to be rolling out a very serious confrontational approach in dealing with these matters. The package that we have put together to go to the Tsobotla does not only involve officials from Treasury and ourselves as COGTA. We have basically brought closer to us the JCPS cluster and have taken a very firm view that the Tsobotla we are going to be rolling out this confrontational process, working together with all organs of security in their own establishment. so that when we get to that space, we are not only going to be focusing on the internal affairs of the administration and other related matters, but both in the surrounding, but including in the communities, and how interchangeably relations have gone to the extent of collapsing that municipality. So there will be that multidisciplinary team, not only limited to internal operations, but also involving the South African Police Service, as I said, security cluster in its own operations. So obviously, that undertaking, it's going to be something extraordinary, and we're going to be rolling out something like that to many other parts of the country. With regard to Ramutseri, the president was in Northwest on Friday, and a very clear report was presented in that meeting, firstly from a security point of view by the South African Police Services. The Deputy Minister was there, who gave an account of the work that they were able to do in getting that situation under control. So to the extent of how securities are going to be dealing with these matters, as I have said, we have classified quite a number of municipalities in the country. And of course, at an appropriate time when that program will be launched, which will be constituted by, as I said, those multi-sectoral teams, precisely because of the findings that we have been able to come across them as we do work from one province to the other. Those matters are going to be receiving our attention. Ramutsere is just one of those that will be added on the list over and above Dietsobotla and most probably other places that will be coming. And understandably, the Secretary General will probably receive a report on the work that has been done on some of these matters that interchangeably they affect both governance and as well as the leadership, the political health of the ANC as it regards to its governing capacity in some of those places. How some of our deployees would have not been able to do what was expected of them by the organization, and how best do we therefore, going forward, as we stabilize the systems in government through what I've said, politically and organizationally, those other matters equally receive the attention of the organization going forward. But largely, I could say, as I step off, the action plan which the President and together with the Secretary General have outlined today in this meeting, there will largely be a huge undertaking on our side from the side of government, working together with provinces, because collectively and cooperatively, the larger part of that work from a government point of view will be overseen, will be undertaken by COGTA nationally working together. Not only COGTA alone, it will be managed through what it is called an interministerial committee on municipal support and as well as intervention, where a number of departments have been put together by His Excellency to work on municipal performance and turnaround strategy. So that strategy is reinforced by the political work and the pronouncements that the President, together with the SG, as part of implementing the decisions of the National Executive Committee. From the side of government, those matters will be seriously looked at, working together with our mayors all over the country, including mayors of the metropolitan municipalities, whilst on the other side, the organization will be playing its oversight role. And of course, myself, together with my chair here, Comrade Stella, I think should make some additional comments. But most importantly, collectively, as part of the systems of the NEC, will be undertaking that work politically to reinforce the work that government will be doing to undertake those administrative processes. I think that's what I can say, Comrade Mahlengi, at this point, just to respond to these few questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Stella. I'm going to ask you to make a remark or two.
Thank you so much, Comrade Mahlengi. Just to respond to a few things, like why has the ANC taken this long to respond to some of the challenges? I don't think that's entirely true, because we have seen interventions in some municipalities wherein the ANC acting against its own employees to say we do recognize that there are challenges, therefore we are restructuring the caucuses. And that's part of the political intervention, as much as there's work that is being driven at a government level on the interventions that are being brought. Now, out of the 4,000 plus councillors that we have, 3,273 belong to the ANC, which reinforces the action plan that has been announced by the President to say, as we exist in more than 85% of the borders of our country, it therefore means that we must respond urgently, because we are there with the people, which is why the dashboard seeks to respond to that by saying it's not only reporting, but the mechanisms to respond immediately. This is why we are saying the municipalities must therefore have war rooms that is able to respond to the challenges that are raised. This is why we're talking of an intergovernmental structure at government level, but also at the ANC level, to bring in all those that are deployed in those areas, but also reaching out to other critical stakeholders that are found at that level to make sure that it is coordinated. Because most of the time we're not able to respond to the challenges because of poor coordination. This is what we are trying to do. This is what we are bringing differently from the action plans that we're doing. We have not tightened or strengthened the coordination mechanisms. And now we are bringing that to say, you may complain about water, but if electricity is not fixed, then we're not going to be able to resolve the things. We may be complaining about lack of implementation in terms of the AG findings, but if we have not looked at the capability of both the political deployees and the management people that are there, we're not going to be able to resolve those, because we may be putting interventions administratively, but if they're not well received by the political level, whether it's due to infighting or challenges that are found by different councillors, like in certain areas we work with opposition, then those then yield the results that are not that are negative to what we want to achieve. So that's why the interventions are two-pronged, to look at the political interventions, the administrative interventions, so that when we come in and we say we are intervening, we've attended to all the aspects that are affecting the service delivery challenges that are there. We are not too late. The fact that I counted the numbers of 3,273 wards out of the 4,000 plus wards that we have, it means that ANC still has strength. If you look at the results of the previous by-elections, if you see the ANC still winning some wards, just minor areas where we would lose, that tells you that people still believe in the ANC, which is why we are saying, let's pay attention to what matters. Let's make sure that potholes are closed. Let's make sure that the water leaks are attended to. And for that to happen again, it talks to a municipality that must have a clear maintenance plan. Minister Comrade Ramhuba will come here, Comrade Pemi will come and talk about the plans that they have. But if there's no proper maintenance plan in the municipality, then we're not going to be able to achieve all of this that we're talking about. That's why you see in the pillars that have been identified in the action plan again, it's that one of strengthening institutional capability, because they go together. The other municipalities are very poor to a point that they're not able to get highly qualified engineers because of the pay grade that they have. Then now it poses a challenge. That's a structural challenge. That's not just something that they suppose they don't want to, but people prefer to go to advanced areas that can pay better. That is why we're saying now the coordination means that we must bring all instruments under the service delivery war room that we have to say, how do we complement the existing challenges that we have in terms of strengthening the capacity of the municipalities so as to respond to the action plan that we are talking about. I think it's important. Corruption, discipline, no action. I don't think that's entirely true again. We've seen where the ANC has acted. But again, I just to expand on what is corruption viewed in municipalities. Of course, when there is no clear plan on how to deal with the audit findings, like if you have high figures of monies that are spent in terms of the the unauthorized expenditure, unauthorized and wasteful expenditure. If there's no clear action plan on how to deal with those, including setting up structures to take people into disciplinary actions, then people automatically will say, Comrade Stella, you are comfortable with the corruption, because we have not seen you acting on the AGSA findings. This is why the local government interventions team, as part of the work that it is doing, is to monitor all those and then hold accountable the ANC deployees to say, where's your audit action plan? And how far have you gone? And I can tell you, the Deputy Chair will tell you here, every day, 7 a.m., we're interacting with municipalities just to track progress, to beef up the work that is being done so that the SG is able to, and the team that he works with, is able to make the interventions when necessary. But with us having laid the ground to make sure that we've attended to everything in terms of processes, because the ANC cannot shy away from all the processes that must be followed in government, even when it comes to recalling certain people, when it comes to charging certain managers, because we don't want our deployees to go charge certain managers and the next thing they lose in court. So it's important that we put all of that processes to say, follow all the processes that are in place. Then when we act knowing very well that we're in line with the constitution of our country. I would like to pause there, Comrade Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would just like to quickly request that I take Comrade Sputler, then followed by Comrade Pemi. Quick reflections on those matters that were asked by colleagues, and then I'll end off with the Western Cape. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlenge, and thanks for the questions. Maybe just to say the following, that we have accepted that we were faced with a number of burning platforms, and chief amongst those were the challenges around the deficit in relation to electricity generation, which resulted in what we refer to as load shedding. And the President announced or unveiled the Energy Action Plan, and that Energy Action Plan is yielding fruits. So you have seen that for the past 3-4 weeks, we are sustaining it to over 70% EAF. We have a different problem of over-generation. So it's a problem we're happy to have. What that has revealed is that there are downstream challenges, and the one challenge that is confronting us and it manifesting itself in the municipalities is the issue of load reduction. It's a combination of a number of issues, including but not limited to acute underinvestment by municipalities, including ESCOM in the reticulation and distribution infrastructure, issues of what you call non-technical losses, or what you and I refer to as illegal connections. So what you'll see, the action plan that the SG unveiled today, it called for an accelerated resolution of load reduction. I'm happy to say that we are confident that we'll end load reduction maximum 18 months. But our view is that it could be much, much earlier, as long as we are able to find each other with communities. So a plan is in place. That plan was forged in government, but what the ANC said is that it must be accelerated. So we had been working on a time span of about, if you like, a horizon of 18 months. But we think that we can truncate that process. If you look at the prevalence of load reduction in the country, 40% of the total load reduction, which affects 1.5 million households, is in Limpopo, and then about 20% in Mpumalanga. So the two accounts for 65%, and then the rest are sparsely allocated, geographically distributed across the country. So the plan is in place. So in my other assignment as a deployee in government, I'm going to be unveiling the comprehensive plan on how we are ending load reduction. The same methodical, deliberate, orchestrated manner we dealt with load shedding will deal with load reduction. And then the third area in relation to the challenges on the electricity front is the cost of electricity. So I've made the point ad nauseum that electricity is expensive, not just for the poor, I want to add. Of course, it affects them disproportionately. For the middle class, even for the most affluent areas. I had made the point that we have initiated a process in government to relook at electricity pricing policy. there are thoroughgoing proposals we are making in relation to the cost of primary energy, which accounts for 40% of the tariff structure. If you read the action plan that the SG unveiled today, you will see that the ANC NEC is lifting the cost of electricity as an impediment to access and also to economic growth. And they have assigned a deploying government to resolve that question. So I'll come back to the country to resolve on how we are going to resolve that question. And you can see it's got significant manifestations. We see the challenges that Comrade Dada was faced with lately, the challenge that Comrade Doctor is faced with. That's not their problem. It's a policy problem that requires attention. So they can respond to the pressures of communities, will tinker at the margins, is going to be engaging, but ultimately it's the policy holder that must resolve that problem. And that's what the action plan has said, that this must be resolved. And I'm confident that we're going to resolve it. And then on the industrial parks, I think it's an important question. They are lying fallow. About 2 NECs ago, we received a report on the economy, a submission by the ETC, and one of the issues that gets to be elevated there is for us to resuscitate and revitalize these parks that are located in the township, Babelehi, in Tshwane, a number of them across the length and breadth of the country. And we have accepted that 2 things must be present, 3 things. The first one is electricity that is available and competitively priced. The second one is availability of water. And the third one is the roads. As and when they finish, or the raw materials are brought there and the finished goods get to market, it's important that we resolve that. So the ANC ETC has resolved on that question. What that NEC said is that the ETC the Economic Transformation Committee must come back with a much more comprehensive, elaborate implementation plan with the timelines. And I can also reveal that tomorrow in government, we're having a conversation on the economy, and water and electricity are a key part of that. And of course, as comrades coming from the ANC, some of the articulations that came from the NEC will find expression in that discussion. And then, of course, we've committed to resolve the issues of vandalism. What we have resolved in government is that we are going to be introducing what we call the distribution agency agreement. What that means is that we are addressing the entire value chain of electricity provision in the country. The metros are better off because they've got the capacity from a technical competency point of view, and some resources for them to invest in reticulation and distribution infrastructure. These are secondary municipalities that have challenges. So we have resolved that we're going to work with those municipalities. We're going to cabinet. So we help them with the engineers. We help them with the planning. We invest our money in this instance, being ESCOM, to refurbish and maintain the reticulation and distribution infrastructure. And then we create an escrow account into which monies will be paid, rolling out the smart meters. And in that way, we are able to ensure that the ESCOM gets its money back, but also municipalities are able to get the money to deploy in social infrastructure. Again, the DAA will go to cabinet and then we'll announce it as part of our comprehensive intervention of addressing vandalism and also the liquidity of municipalities. The one point that's not made is that all of us focus on the fact that ESCOM is owed just above 100 billion rand by the total of municipalities. What the mayors will tell you is that municipalities put together, they are owed over 400 billion rand. So you can see it's an untenable situation. So we'll work with them to address that. And then maybe just to conclude a matter that I think I can respond to. If you look at the architecture of local government, it introduces something called SALGA, which is an organized voice of local government. And what it does, it advocates and agitates on behalf of local authorities and, amongst others, is about peer learning. So what the president said, that you go to DA ministry, there's nothing new. When we introduced free Wi-Fi in Tshwane, municipalities from across the country, some of which were led by parties other than the ANC, came to learn. When Comrade Parks was the mayor of Johannesburg, the corridors of freedom, we all descended there. The mayors will tell you that framework exists and it encourages it. There is nothing sinister when you learn from those who have perfected some area of how they prosecute their responsibility with regards to local government. SALGA is designed to do exactly that. So within that framework, we go and learn from each other and unlearn from each other. So there is nothing untoward. That someone is doing something better, you can go and learn. I mean, that's the best thing to do. And it's not a selfish consideration. It's not about the political party projection. It's about what is in the interest of the community. So you get it right, the net beneficiary are communities. We'll fight it out in the battlefield when the local elections come. But now it's about improving the lives of communities. We are accepting someone is doing it better. SALGA the design of SALGA is meant to do that amongst others. So when you say, let's go and learn, yes, we go and learn in the same manner that they come and learn. That's what we call about the peer review. So I thought I must just make that point, SG. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlengi, and greetings to media houses present here. Water has been a buzzword throughout these 3 days, because when there is no water, everyone feels the pain. We also feel the pain when we've provided bulk water supply, but reticulation and provision of water does not reach our people. You'll remember that the President has taken water as priority number 1 during the State of the Nation address. That has made us to prioritize our projects better, notwithstanding that there are a lot of criminal cases that are dragging as back as 2010, especially around Limpopo, where a lot of projects were funded, but they were not delivered. There is no money. We are working with the Hawks. We have already recovered 23 million in terms of those companies who did not deliver on what they were expected to deliver. In KZN, the President intervened there through the Presidential Working Group, which has since worked very well. We have seen reduction in terms of the non-revenue water. All municipalities, without any exception, as long as they have leaks, people are not going to get water. As long as they have leaks, they are going to owe municipalities. As long as they have leaks, there will be protests throughout, because those leaks make water not to be able to go to their communities. And the focus of the Presidential Working Group was to attend to leaks first. So in KZN, eThekwini in particular, we had to restrict them in terms of the abstraction according to the license that they have. We did that from September to December, because they were unable to attend to their leaks. Beginning of December, they started attending to their leaks. We saw them opening the beaches around eThekwini. And on the 24th of December, they had to make a special application that I must terminate restrictions, because the tourists were flooding KZN, and the hospitality sector were worried that the water was not enough, and they promised that for 3 months they are going to work to an extent that they reduce the leaks. And indeed, we had to lift the restriction and allow them to get more water. By March this year, already, they as the business sector, they work with municipality to assist municipality in terms of repairing their infrastructure. And the President took that model of KZN eThekwini to Johannesburg, to the city of Johannesburg. The city of Johannesburg, more than infrastructure which is decaying, they have their population is growing on a daily basis. It is only Gauteng that has so many informal settlement because of the mere reason that everybody thinks that when coming to Gauteng, Johannesburg, you are going to get a better life. So as they come and establish informal settlement, they are not in the grid. Water grid, what they do is to vandalize and illegally connect. And when they illegally connect, those areas which are supposed to get water from that same bulk water pipeline, they are unable to get water. Not only in Gauteng, same in Tshwane, same in Negurule. You might think that those municipalities are not working, but they are overwhelmed because communities are rushing to these areas. What we are going to engage with municipalities after this is, one, municipality must give us a clear audit of all their infrastructure, which is decaying. Two, they must tell us how much is that they have. Because municipalities, they do get money from us, they get money from COGTA, they get their equitable share. So we must agree that a certain amount must be ring-fenced to attend to infrastructure. And we can do that when we work together. We have agreed as IMC, COGTA, National Treasury, Human Settlement, us as DWS, as well as electricity, to say our challenges are the same. If there is cable theft, it does not only affect Eskom, it affects us as well, that when Eskom has no electricity, we are unable to pump to give bulk water supply. So we have agreed to work together. So from here, we are going to sit together as this IMC and say, what is that we are going to have in the next 3 months that we are going to work with municipalities on. And there are municipalities like the Buffalo City Metropolitan, which is regarded as a metropolitan, but in reality, it is a rural metro. The population of Buffalo City stays in villages, in the rural villages around King, around East London, but they are expected to deliver like any other metro, whereas they are dominated by indigent people. So we said they must speed up the indigent register so that we can see how do we assist them with National Treasury on the blended finance. On Gauteng, Johannesburg in particular, is there a difference? Yes, there is a difference in Gauteng since the establishment of the Johannesburg working group by the president. However, the Johannesburg has fewer reservoirs as against the demand and the supply. So yesterday, only last night, we met with Johannesburg. They have a clear plan on how they want to attend to water. But we met with the Premier and the MEC for COGTA. Every Wednesday, there is a Water Wednesday in Gauteng. We have a clear plan on how must Gauteng attack the issue of water. Notwithstanding the vandalism, this is a syndicate. It happens mainly KZN, Gauteng, Northwest, and Limpopo. Those are the 4 provinces that are overwhelmed by these extortionists and water mafias. We met with the South African Human Rights Commission on the 4th of September. They have the concerns, as we are having those concerns, to say, how do we then elevate this matter of vandalism as a charge on sabotage? Because the Act does allow that such the attack to infrastructure is an act of sabotage, and therefore what needs to be done? We have agreed on a plan that in the next 2 weeks we are meeting with the water task team that is led by the Deputy President. There are clear recommendations in terms of the amendment of the Act, and we have made such a clear recommendation or submission as Department of Water and Sanitation that let's implore what happened in 2010 when there was a criminal case which has occurred next to the stadium. There will be a pop-up court that will trial the matter at that point, and judgment is done on the spot. With the cases of water mafias and water extortionists, construction mafias, it takes so long for those who have been arrested. There is no quick attending of such cases, and we are saying, should that be in place, it will assist us to send a clear message. We started in March to encourage all municipalities, whoever has a contract with water tankers or water tankering, to start negotiating out of that contract. Let municipalities in-source water tankering, because when it is on a private contract, they don't have capacity to monitor whether the 10,000 liters that have been procured has been delivered accordingly. So already I can report good news how in Johannesburg they've already procured over 20 water tankers to in-source them. By yesterday, 10 water tankers has been delivered. But we are saying those water tankering must not be a solution for water pipelines. Let them be an intervention in an instance where there is maintenance or there is a water pipe. Best let them intervene without going through the long process of procurement. So we think that we are going to assist municipalities where we are funding municipalities in two grants: the water services infrastructure grant as well as the regional infrastructure bulk. On that one of the bulk, that is where we want municipalities to work with us and say which water reservoir had to be broadened up, or that has to be extended in terms of its capacity, because the capacity currently of the reservoirs are not enough to be able to give South Africans all the water that they expect. But with Northwest in particular, we have withdrawn some of the grants that we gave to municipalities in Northwest, based on the reasons that you also alluded to, that there's been a lot of mismanagement of funds and all that. And we said, rather than that, those funds going back to the National Treasury, we are going to change the directive of such funds, because we gave them under Schedule 5B of our allocation grant. So we're taking that back and put it under Schedule 6B. What does Schedule 6B mean? It means we as the Department of Water, we're going to take charge of those funds. We are going to take charge of appointing the contractors. We're going to take charge of ensuring that we send our water boards, because the water boards have the technical expertise. In water, you need engineers, you need control processors, you need water scientists, and you find wanting when you go to municipalities. So between now and the next 14 days, we are writing to municipalities to say, having had this councillor's role, what are the key challenges? Prioritize out of your key challenges and tell us how much do you have, what capacity do you need? So we'll be able to assist them by bringing capacity. Unfortunately, we don't have idling funds the way we can assist them with, but we want to assist them to use their own funds, and we top up with the allocation that comes from MISA, from MIG, as well as from Human Settlement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Pemi. I will at this stage call on the SG, Western Cape. I thought Sputler sufficiently attended to that question around benchmarking and all that. And so...
That cry of a mother.
Thank you very much for the questions. I think, Jacaranda, first, let me draw your attention that these interventions have yielded results and serious interventions at the level of government. After Minister Pravin Gordhan made a turnaround strategy, there were results that led to interventions, the same as other ministers, and including in the ANC, Nkosazana Dlamini report and so on, there were interventions. And to list a few, out of Nkosazana and also Minister Pravin Gordhan, we today have a district development model, DDM, which ensures that there is integrated approach and intergovernmental, strengthened approach in terms of local government. We've got the strategic support to municipalities on ESCOM debt. Once we had lost this social contract between government and the people, we then had a number of cases of this fallout between government and the people. If you look at the Soweto debt, the liability there was running into billions. And nobody's talking about the interventions that were made with regard to that. Everyone now forgets that there was intervention that was made with regard to ESCOM debt and also the question of liability, which is not totally resolved as we speak, but it was running into billions. Strategic support to municipalities on water board debt, the same has actually happened. Because in the mentality of many, everything is for free. But we are victims of our own interventions. And I want to explain this proper. When we adopted the RDP, we cushioned the poor right from the onset. And then you will have 3,000 whatsoever free liters of free water. And people like elderly and all of that were completely cushioned in terms of basic services to our people. Now, these are policies that we have implemented that have cushioned the poor and our people at the local government level. Operation Vulindlela, local government reform, which is what we're doing now in a number of local government interventions in the country. At eThekwini and Johannesburg presidential working groups. These things that are happening in the turnaround in eThekwini and Johannesburg, supporting municipalities there, it's not something that is happening on its own. It's because some intervention has been made and is yielding results. Strategic and smart partnerships, of course, with the private sector. This also have been implemented. Interministerial Committee, Municipal Performance Turnaround Strategy, and the National Strategic Hub. The point I'm trying to address is that we are here today not to regurgitate. We accept first that here is the problem statement. We do have strategies. We do have plans. What we are doing, we are consolidating going forward to make these plans work. The strategic question we've had to answer from Friday is, we've got all these things for them to work and work faster for our communities. What do we need to do? Hence the plan, the action plan. We call it a war plan and all of that. How do we deal with all these issues that we've had to deal with? And we're now prioritizing water because it affects everybody. Urbanization and informal settlement and all of that is not going to stop. People are moving from the rural to the urban areas. And the law of the country says, if you can set up shacks more than 50, we must provide you ablution. If overnight when we wake up, I'm not giving you ideas, you've got shacks, and then you name it after, I do have also a squatter camp named after me. and many other leaders have got squatter camps named after them, especially in Gauteng. And then that is it. Others, they assist these squatter camps and so on. Whenever that expands, it also increases the demand side of many other things that must actually happen. But government must deliver systematically and decisively when it comes to our communities. Tando, the SACP matter will be resolved between us and them. How it will affect us whenever we can't reach an agreement that they must not contest, we leave it to the voter. We can't answer it in the boardroom. And that is why we're not waiting for anybody. We're moving ahead in terms of doing what it is right. It is strange that when we say there are problems in local government and we attend to them, and we attend to problems, we attend to challenges, they say, why do you attend to them? Leave them. Leave these problems you see around you. Do nothing about them. Don't call your councillors in a roll call. Just sit and watch. Leave them. Leave the problem. We are not sitting and watching. We are doing something about the problem. The question that you need to ask, which I cannot dictate to you, respectfully so, is whether or not in the next 3 months this action plan will yield the results that are required. We are not saying to you and South Africans that we are coming with something new, Mitsubishi from Japan. It's the same problems. The question between all of us here who were gathered here and over the weekend is, yes, we've got these things. How do we move faster? What is the problem? Problem of service delivery characterized among others by governance. Some of our municipalities are not properly governed, but some of them are poor. There's no revenue connection. Pemi talks about the example of Khubsan, metro in the rural. Okay, everybody wants a metro. We have a metro in Buffalo City. Majority of people there are indigent and all of that. They rely on government policy and all of that in terms of social security net and intervention. And then they don't pay services. They are cushioned again by the government. Where government cannot move away from its responsibility is closing potholes, is removing refuse in the townships and anywhere else. That I can do it as a mayor every day. And we've said here to our mayors, why are you not removing this? Working with the communities. If you start something every Saturday in Mangaung, in Buffalo City, wherever we are in charge, I'm just mentioning these two because we are in charge there. As in Ngazelani, Buffalo City, Nase Mangaung, Sipete. Okay? Apa ekuruleni zingavela zichinje izinto ngomso. Yego data zingachinja. Leave alone the fact that now data is a problem. ANC is a problem and all of that. Data is a problem and all of that. But nobody says, where was this municipality in the past 10 years? What happened since Putla left in Tshwane? And then the deterioration of the city under coalitions. How many mayors have we had in Tshwane? Under the DA government. With all what Sputla did and led there, you should have known that when we deployed Sputla in electricity, with what we did in Tshwane, that we're deploying a Ferrari there. That was not a TAS machine that we're deploying to push back electricity. And you shouldn't be shocked because of the track record of Sputla in Tshwane and his collective. It was good. And then we lost in the hands of the coalition. Change of mayors, election after. That brought instability. Because you can't hold one government accountable. Talk about the DA and everything and in comparison to them and all of that and so on. And the fact that somebody talk about benchmarking ourselves to the DA and so on. there's nothing wrong, like Sputa have said, to say that there is something good. If you maintain consistency and all of that in governance, you'll will the results. The same as when you maintain consistency in governance, we have seen in Johannesburg and in our big metros, you will the results. Once there is instability, things change altogether. And that is what is happening. Now, you have had stability because there is governance and one party there over the years. Yet there's been interruption and all of that in Johannesburg and as well as Ekurhuleni and other places. And you will see the effects of that on governance. And you can examine that on your own. It's not scapegoatism on my part and the ANC to say that the problems that are there that must be addressed by the ANC, which works with other parties, but at the same time acknowledge the fact that coalitions also are not a positive story entirely in the governance system of local government. So impact of SACP withdrawal, we don't know. We can predict, we can say any other thing. For us, the SACP contesting elections is a principled issue. And ideologically, that we believe it is not something that is correct, they should do. But we are going to be engaging with the SACP on that matter. And if we don't find each other going forward, that question will be answered by the people on the ground as we vote. And that's what is going to happen. Moloko, potholes, etc., and so on. And why do we talk about this now? We have not been talking about this. Probably it's the first time that we emphasize this. In our plan, we're looking at everything, including what is not just what is an outcry. What are the challenges in terms of good governance at local government level? And these are a list of things that we believe that we need to attend to wherever we are in charge, where we are leading. And we need to account. Mask no difficulties. Our representatives, like we're standing in this press conference, a mayor of the ANC in Mangaung, in Buffalo City, should face people and say, this is what I've done, these are the challenges I face. Okay? And then people engage. And there's a lot of work that is happening there. And some of this work is basically distorted, and then it is imposed, this distortion, on these municipalities that are run by the ANC without any response on our part. So our leadership must respond to these questions. And they must also showcase the work that they are doing on the ground, like all other mayors do across the length and breadth of the country. We have many people with qualifications, and we train councillors, even those without qualifications, who come to be elected in municipalities. Let me explain to you. A person is elected a ward councillor because he's a community leader, but has not finished matric. I'm giving you an example. Or have got matric, not post-matric qualifications. He's a councillor. He's doing a wonderful job in the community, and then is elected. That person must be empowered by the system. As the ANC, we have been training our councillors over the years, and we're still doing it even now. And then in the different municipalities. And our people and our councillors have taken education very seriously, linked to the areas of deployment. Somebody was deployed in council without post-matric qualifications. That person has got masters today in some of the councillors. And we can give you that record. We have a record where we actually do a study on our councillors and so on. And that study have revealed that most of our councillors are doing well when it comes to studies and uplifting themselves and empowering themselves. And that report in particular, today in the plenary closed session, was revealed by Gauteng Province, Comrade Hope Papo. I've answered Jacaranda, SABC, Barometer. How is it going to work? It's going to work in the sense that we're increasing our capacity to monitor our performance on the ground. And we're doing that through direct contact with the people, but also our councillors reporting through the digital platforms we have created on service delivery. So that is the barometer that we'll be using. And we will be able to tell you directly that these are the challenges of your community, and these are the things that in your purview you should be addressing, you can address, but you are not doing anything about them. Some of these councils, you know, they are poor and all of that. So from a budgeting point of view, they need to be assisted. A barometer, News 24, why after so long? Everything is done in terms of the action plan now, because we need to accelerate. The buzzword is accelerate, and at the same time do what is right to address the challenges of service delivery on the ground. Removal of people. Yes, we have realized that we take time. But let me also remind you that we have removed a lot of people in this country in local government. And we have also removed people and caused by-elections. In Tabazimbi, we did that. In Northwest, in Mpumalanga, we did that. So we have removed people. Nobody talks about ANC taking a decision because of poor performance and mismanagement at local government. We have removed people and caused a by-election. We went to a by-election in Mamusa, you remember? Some of you were there. Those who were interested to reach the far-flung areas as far as Mamusa, away from Joburg Lights. You know we contested there and we won in Mamusa in Northwest because we removed councillors there. We removed councillors in Ditsobota, but that problem still persists. We have done that in Mpumalanga. We went and contested and we won. We did that in Tabazimbi. President went for a big Sianova rally there. We won. We are not afraid to remove people with wayward behavior and all of that and cause a by-election if it comes to a push. So we are going to do that. So I'm addressing this question because you shouldn't say we are doing this thing now for whatever reason, but we have been doing it. Now, what we have recognized is the fact that there are instances where we could have taken a decision earlier, and then we have probably taken time to deal with that. So with this action plan, we are very much organized now. Let me give you an example. You report a problem about a mayor or a councillor. Our intervention team here will give us reports now going forward, empowered also with the barometer and so on. Here is a problem here. There are these challenges here. We think that partly the problem is leadership. How do we intervene? But when we intervene, it cannot be the same as before. Like what we did in eThekwini. When a mayor there was removed, we had to take a member of parliament and a member of the NEC and deploy it in eThekwini, Cyril Club, and redeployed that particular former mayor to Cape Town. Okay? That's what we're going to do. We have seen this model does work, and then we're going to be decisive. It is there in our plan of action. We are going to do it, and that's what we need to do. So you may be right, and we will admit that sometimes where there is clear problems, we have not been acting quite faster. I'm not talking about generated problems, because there are also such where there will be generated protests in order to cast aspersions as a reflection of the internal party issues in the ANC, and then cast aspersions on the mayor or a councillor or MMC and so on. We should be able to distinguish through our intervention. But over and above that, we should also be in a position, given the tools that we've got now, we're going to deploy, to take decisions independent of everybody and say, no, you need to be shifted from here to that particular point. It has happened even at national level. When we redeploy people, we don't tell them. You are told at that moment that you are redeployed. And then all what you can say, thank you to the ANC for giving me a chance. That's all what you can say. But we put people in your space to continue to actually lead. So the mandate from this action plan and the NEC is very clear that we must act and be decisive where we are faced with challenges. Brenda Fassi, what took us so long? No, it's not. And I think this question of why now is linked to elections. This is not an elections program. When we said we are dealing with load shedding, even on the doorstep of elections, and Sputla made announcements, they said, no, he's lying. They are just doing this thing for elections. I've seen some people on social media who said that, no, it's that time of the elections. Pemi said and explained interventions on water, and then they said, no, it's elections. But they've forgotten now. And I think questions are no longer coming to Sput. The lights are on. Mabone achubi. Now, the issue is no longer, we're not doing things, we're doing to serve the people. That's why the president said, this is not a party program only, it's a program for South Africa, for South Africans to be served by the ANC wherever it is in charge. Now, the lights are on beyond the elections. Beyond the elections, the lights are still on. And even water now, we have elevated water the same we dealt with the question of electricity. So we're going to be monitoring and supporting, working with Comrade Pemi and the teams and our local government in terms of the water crisis that we have on the ground. The mechanism for report back, newsroom, I think I've explained that. Or are you happy with that? What? A bite? No, I can do that on the side. I can give you the bite on the side. Okay. You have, look, mafias must be taken on by communities and government. And ANC structures must participate in that. Okay? And then law enforcement must be an integral part of it. These cartels and mafias work even within the system of the state of law enforcement. They work with the police who are corrupt, and then because they benefit out of that. Sabotaging infrastructure is corruption. I was in transport. People cut the cables because they want to create demand. Because if I've got a company that supply cables to Prasa, and all of a sudden everything is smooth, the trains are running, and the tender is over, I'm going to create demand and then cut the cable so that I can also come back and properly. And I will be doing that conniving with others in the system to get the tender. That's corruption. So it can only work by way of protecting the whistleblowers, because they are good citizens in the state who are blowing the whistle, but they are not protected. So as we deal with mafia cartels, we must also deal with legislation to protect whistleblowers. It's very important. And that must be fast-tracked, because we have asked our people to work with us in the system to do away with these mafias. They do so, they get killed. Look at Tembisa. What happened? We're dealing with exactly the example I'm talking about today, that whistleblowers, at the end of the day, they have actually been killed, and so on. Criminals are brazen. People get accused for bribing about this and that. They bribe even journalists. We all journalists, they penya, you bribe, I see born bribe. And then when we see that bribe, you know, and then they run a show on TV. No, I didn't bribe anybody. A show. On television. No. No. These people must be investigated. When you see the hawks surrounding a municipality, you must be hopeful that there are fewer much. Somebody is going to account and will be arrested, because somebody have blown the whistle from inside. So we must have our laws that protect citizens. We are going to win against these criminals and the mafias and the cartels. The developments we see in our country around commissions, may it be Mkwanazi or around it, and all of that, must encourage us to not to sweep criminality under the carpet. We must clean. And people who are good citizens have come to the fore and reported, but at the end of the day, they get killed by criminals. They are not protected. And then when you go to the police station to report, you must be careful of that. It was here. And then the poor person, once you leave the police station, you are dead. You leave your kids. We must then create a safe line. Criminals must be reported. And then so that we are safe and all of that in terms of the work we are doing. IOL, I don't know what you asked. What did you ask? Let me explain. Corruption is not perpetrated by ANC members only. The system is rotten in terms of tenders. And I know it's going to be a buzzword that Mbalula says ANC members are not corrupt. ANC is not a corrupt vehicle. I'm saying that. The fact that there is an individual who gets arrested and is corrupt among the deployees of the ANC, the system must deal with that person. Even more than the Constitution of the Republic. And we're still going to be strict, because ANC members are still saying, no, this step aside is insufficient. It's insufficient because you only step aside when you are arrested. You will remember where we come from, where we said once you are arrested is presumption of innocence. South Africans said that is not enough. And then we move a step further. We said once you are arrested, you step aside. We are now on step aside. They say that is also not enough. If you are on the side of the wrongdoing and all of that, there must be some other steps that are taken. Now, there's no decision of the ANC now that reviews the step aside where we stand today. But members of the ANC are edgy and society is edgy around that particular point. The ANC will review that as we go to the General Council and beyond. When I'm saying that, we are even way ahead of the Constitution, because indeed the Constitution says you are presumed innocent until proven otherwise, right? The ANC says even before you are judged, you must step aside from your positions. Even if you don't have a position, just participating as a member of the ANC, you are arrested. You are debarred from participating in the activities of the organization. It's not just linked to a position. It's not linked. If I happen to be an ordinary member now, and that is it. And now, there are people who are corrupt in the system of public service, and they are not ANC members. And they get arrested every day. You go to institutions of the state and SOEs. There are people who are corrupt there in the tendering system and everything and so on. They do wrong things there. But everything that happens in the state today is inextricably linked to the party. If some person has stolen money in a particular department, kutiwa, this ANC. So what happens in government today, in terms of corruption, is inextricably linked to us. That somebody goes, it is alleged, bribed a journalist, ANC. Simazela pitina lomdu bribe by journalist. Magabanjwe lomdu. I mean, this is what you journalists are showing us. Society is shocked. An element of brazenness and corruption in our society must be extricated once and for all by means of making examples about people who want to be made examples. That's what is important. As the party is concerned, as the ANC, we will act. We act, and we will act when it comes to acts of corruption. Why do we emphasize the point? We emphasize the point in local government because in local government, where we have not done well, you will find that when you go deeper, these are acts of corruption. And to a certain extent, it has affected our municipalities that we lead as the ANC. It is in our municipalities where people without requisite qualifications have been found. This plan of action says that heads must roll. If we go to a municipality, you have employed a person who's a doctor, but a doctor because of theology, or a doctor because he specializes in health, but you have employed that person as a doctor for engineering services. First and foremost, that is mismatch of skills. Why do you do that? Secondly, you employ a person who does not have post-matric qualifications to run a municipality. Kanjan. That thing doesn't need a conference, doesn't need anything. We are empowered by this action plan to say, province, can you ask from that mayor, why did you employ a CFO who doesn't have, don't ask Hambanai, same time. How did it come that your municipality employed a person who does not have qualifications? It doesn't need an NEC meeting. It doesn't need ANC members themselves now, as we speak from this, let them blow the whistle. That I'm sitting here with people who are unqualified in my municipality, who are going to act. In the next 3 months, I will be standing here and giving you a report that we have changed so many people through our interventions in the municipalities. That's the report I'm going to give you when it comes to governance. No more rhetoric. That's what this plan says. No rhetoric, no slogans. How come in a municipality you employ a person who doesn't have qualification to meant a strategic position and you expect that you will get out of the red, you will not get a disclaimer. Because lo mntu lo mos kumnyama ebusweni bengawo akazi lutho about books. Ne-arithmetic sahamba kuyo kudala, but similar nangu umuntu uqashiwe managing the books. And then there is no problem, it's business as usual. Umeya nabantu bakhe bayaziqhubela nje kuyaqhubeka. So we are not just going to pounce on people on nothing. Service delivery, we expect our people, this is what this action plan says. Leave the offices, be on the streets with the people, don't be reactionary. Be proactive and lead from the front. That's what the marching orders are saying. If ever we have to deal with refuse, things and all of that, debt in the townships, we must lead from the front when it comes to that. And that's what is important in terms of this. So corruption, and all of that, we need to deal with that. And the action plan in itself, it is very clear. So this action plan, in conclusion, it is measured. We will account to the ANC after every 3 months. I don't know when is the next 3 months from today. November will be here, accounting about the implementation of this plan. We'll move to the next 3 months, to the next 3 months. Huh? Yeah, December. Yeah, that's what we are going to do. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we have done the studies. We do studies every day. Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah, no, I'm a...
Whether you gave a good account of yourself in the metros that you have reclaimed. This is a simple question, whether you are proud of what they are doing.
We are proud of our performance and the work that we are doing. Don't speak on my behalf. There is work that is going on. No, let me explain. There is work that is going on in these municipalities. We will answer your question in the next 3 months about whether we are turning the corner, and there is work that is being done that can be seen out there. And this work, we will account about it after every 3 months, because it's not like there's no work that is not being done. There's a lot of work that has been covered. But we are overwhelmed by this thing that we are not doing anything. So we will give you an account on metro by metro, on municipality by municipality. There will be no roll call. We're going to give you in the next 3 months this performance. These councillors, when they leave here, they've got a clear instruction going down to their municipalities to put this action plan into place. We will give you the action, and we've got it. Matlengi will give it to you, and then you look at it and so on. It is measurable. It is not something new. It is consolidation of intervention in terms of the challenges that we are facing at local government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We are adjourned. Thank you.